Hindi ba? Kung may pera tayong ganyan, kung may pondo tayong ganyan, dapat ilagay yan sa agrikultura, dapat ilagay yan sa infrastructure, dapat ilagay yan sa energy development. Eh, nanonood ako ng television, sabi ko sa siyempre, kinakausap ko yung TV. Saan nyo kaya iniisip na ilalagay yan? Bibili kami mga magagakan kotse, bibili kami ng malalaking yate, yan ba yung iniisip ninyo? That's... It makes me laugh because that is so far from the truth.
At gusto ko lang i-share sa inyo yung video na ito ni Presidenta Bongbong Marcos sa pagpirma niya ng bagong batas, itong Maharlika Pan. So gusto ko kasi ito mapanood mga kabanat at gusto ko rin ma-review. Ano ba yung mga sinasabi niya dito sa kanyang talumpati pagkatapos ng kanyang pirma, pagkatapos ng kanilang pirmahan, itong tinatawag na Maharlika Pan na ito nga ay binabatikos ng ilang mga mambabatas, no? Lalo na diyan ang matinding pagtutol nito itong si Coco Pimentel, no? At itong si Risa Hontiveros at ilan pang mga senador, no, na kontra dito sa Maharlika Pan na ito na ikatakot nila, na sabi nila ay baka mauubos at nanakawin lamang yung pera ng taong bayan. So ito yung pagpirma ni President Bongbong Marcos at gusto ko ito mapanood, no? At hindi pinaka-review natin. I-share ko na rin lang sa inyo at itong video na ito para sabay-sabay natin mapanood. At ano ba bang mga sinasabi ni President Bongbong Marcos dito? Kasi pagkatapos nito nagkaroon din ng press conference, media conference itong si Meg Suberi, mga kabanat. Sinagot niya yung mga paratang ng ilang mga kapwa niya mababatas na bumabatikos dito sa Maharlika Pan na ito nga ay naging batas na. So, panoorin natin ito sabay-sabay mga kabanat. Tara, let's go.
President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Tasan ko lang yung volume doon, mahina eh.
Thank you very much, our Executive Secretary, Secretary Luc Bersamin. Of course, with us, please take a seat, are the members of the Congress of the Philippines. From the Senate is joining us here is the Senate President Meg Subiri, and the senators who have worked long and hard to get this bill passed. Then there are also, of course, the House of Representatives, our Speaker Martin Romualdez, who is no longer the late Martin Romualdez. And the members of the House of Representatives.
Sila yung mga author, mga kabanat eh.
Also have put in a lot of late hours and a lot of long days to get this extremely important measure into law. All the partners that we have here from the private sector, all our fellow workers in government, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very good morning to you. We mark today a momentous occasion in the history of our nation as I sign into law the Maharlika Investment Fund Act. The MIF is a bold step towards our country's meaningful economic transformation. Just as we are recovering from the adverse effects of the pandemic, we are now ready to enter a new age of sustainable progress, robust stability, and broad-based empowerment. For the first time in the history of the Philippines, we now have a sovereign wealth fund designed to drive economic development. Through the fund, we will leverage a small fraction of the considerable but underutilized investable funds of government and stimulate the economy without the disadvantage of adding additional fiscal and debt burden. And this is maybe perhaps it's time that we clarify all the questions and answer all the questions that have been raised about the Maharlika Fund. What is its intent? What is it supposed to be? How is it supposed to work? We have talked very much about foreign investment coming into the country. We have encouraged PPPs, we have encouraged joint ventures, we have encouraged G2G arrangements. But all of these come under the category of borrowings. We are at present at about, if I am not mistaken, 63% GDP to debt ratio. And although that is relatively good when we compare it to other countries around the region, it still is a very high number. However, there are so many infrastructure development, structural developments that we need to implement if we are going to be able to say that the Philippines can now compete in the world market, be it in labor, be it in manufacturing, be it in agricultural exports. If we are going to do that, there are a great many investments that are going to be needed to be done for us to achieve that. The first part of this administration was spent on a very simple principle, that we will go out to the world and we will do the changes that are necessary for the Philippines to become an investment-friendly nation. And that has earned some success, both on the private sector and also in the public sector. However, these are all borrowings. And we now put aside a fund wherein the government's funds that are, as I said, underutilized. The instincts of any financial manager is that money must work for you. It must not sit in the bank and earning an interest rate that is almost up to the level of the cost of money. And that's why we go in and out of these accounts. So these are the elements. This is the context in which we approach the Maharlika Investment Fund. We now have an available fund that will provide us the seed money for investments and to attract other foreign investments, and for us to be able to participate in those operations, in those investments without additional borrowings. And let us make sure that the fund is well run. Let us make sure that these are professionals. Let us make sure that the decisions that are being made for the fund are not political decisions, that they are financial decisions, because that is what the fund is. It is essentially a fund that.
Pero mahirap yan, mahirap yan protektahan mga kabanat, no? Mahirap yan, yung sinasabi niya ni President Bongbong Marcos. Napakahirap protektahan yan. Kapag ang kawatan gumalaw, wala talaga magagawa. Kahit ano pang protection mo sa batas na yan, ay lulusot-lulusot ka. Dahil nga ang magnanakaw, sila din naman yung gumawa ng batas eh. Butangan talaga, lagyan nila talaga yan. Yan ang, ewan ko. Pero sa akin sana, yung speech ni President Bongbong Marcos dapat hindi niya ito bagay. Alam naman ni President Bongbong Marcos siguro yung mag-invest din karamihan ay mga foreigner, pero kaya nag-i-English siya. Pero pag ako siguro, sarap, maganda ipaunawa sa taong bayan yung mga speech decision niya Kasi ang iba hindi nakakaintindi, kaya binabatikos ito mga kabanat, Dapat siguro hindi naman kasi lahat, lalo na sa mahihirap. Lalo na yung sa mahirap, lalo na sa mga part ng mga magsasaka. Ilan? Kumbaga, yung sinabi ng Pangulo, pagkarat ita-translate pa ng ilang mga kababayan natin yan. Pagdating doon sa talagang gustong maintindihan, ay iba na yung ibig sabihin. Dapat siguro, sa speech ni President Bongbong Marcos, maglaan siya ng oras na yung mga sinasabi sa English, i-translate niya sa salitang Tagalog para maunawaan. Yan ang minsan nakikita ko, ang Pangulo natin halos hindi nagsasalita ng salitang atin. Puro banyaga yung ginagamit, mga kabanat. Unlike kay President Duterte, si President Duterte bagamat English din, pero talagang makikita mo nagsasalita ng Tagalog yun si President Duterte. Hindi yung ito si President Bongbong Marcos, halos lahat ay yung speech niya ay 98% ay 9 Tagalog, English talaga mga kabat. Lalo itong Maharlika Pan na gustong maunawaan ng taong bayan. Kasi nga, ngayon, itong Maharlika Pan na ito ay binabatikos na natatakot sila at mayroon pa silang sinasabi na kaya siguro itong mayroon pa silang sinasabi na kaya daw itong ang PhilHealth gustong hawakan ng hawakan ng pangulo, no? Kukunin nila yung kumbaga yung management kasi ay nasa DOH eh. Itong PhilHealth gusto nang kunin ng pangulo dahil nga dito daw sa investment fund o Maharlika Fund na ito para yung budget ng kasi napakalaking pera yung PhilHealth mga kabanat eh. Yan ay talagang bilyon ang pumapasok diyan dahil nga yan ay investment ng taong bayan. Nandiyan naglalagak ng kumbaga yung naguhulog kasi araw-araw eh. So yung binabatikos dahil nga yung PhilHealth nga daw ay parang gagamitin dito sa Maharlika Fund na ito. Kasi itong Maharlika Fund, pupunduhan ito ng mga iba't ibang ahensya, no? Yan ang nasabi ng ilan. Ang pera daw ng gobyerno ay ilalaan diyan, ang iba ilalagay diyan. Kaya ang iba ay tumututol diyan. Ang sinasabi nila itong PhilHealth daw, kaya daw gustong hawakan ito ng ating pangulo, no? Dahil gusto nilang gamitin yung pondo, pero siguro kung magamit man ako sa tama, problema lang talaga diyan mga kabanat. Hindi ako naniwala na kahit anong safeguard ilalagay nila dito, malulusutan talaga ito ng mga gusto magnakaw mga kabanat. So tuloy natin itong speech ni President Bongbong Marcos.
We will continue to invest in. And the fund will fail if we do not make money on the fund. It's that simple. But there are so many opportunities that we cannot allow to slip by. And that is why we have put up the Maharlika Fund. So as to be able to give us the capacity and the ability to join in those investments, be part of that. Put in the government counterpart for any of these projects, and without additional borrowings. And quite the contrary, instead of taking on additional borrowings and having to work to pay for the interest and roll over the principal every so often, we now have a fund which will itself make money. And that will increase its capacity and capability to invest in all of these extremely important projects. We are talking about investments in agriculture. We're talking about investments in infrastructure. We are talking about investments in digitalization. We are talking about the investments in the strengthening of our supply chains. We are talking about all of those elements that the post-pandemic economy has shown us are necessary for us to be able to transform the Philippines into a country that not only is investment friendly, but also is competitive in the rest of the world. That is the point of this fund. That is the reason we have created this fund. And of course, many of you have been extremely important parts in the whole process, and having to try to explain. And I know that people think that they feel they are wary because it's something new, although it isn't. The sovereign funds have been started since the 1950s. However, over the years, sovereign funds have become different from one another. When we were studying the fund, we look back and we say, let's look at the experience of other people, of other countries. What worked? What didn't work? Where were the mistakes? So we don't commit the same mistakes. And it took the essential element that came back at us after that study was that every sovereign fund is unique, depending upon the purposes of that fund. For example, in China, they had the agency called SINTIC, which started off as an agency that was that were looking for investments to be brought into China. As China grew wealthier, they changed the ambit of their operations, and it is now where can China invest outside of the People's Republic. So you can see that there is an evolution. It doesn't mean that what we have made here is it. It will evolve as the context, as the economic situation, as the global situation changes. And as the opportunities arise and the risks are differently assessed, then that is what we will adjust to. However, the point being, as long as we manage it properly, and I contend that we have some of the best economic managers, both in government and in the private sector, that we can count on to run this fund properly. And so that is why it has been very important. Of course, I've been watching the hearings and the debates in Congress about what is it supposed to do, how is it supposed to run. And immediately I said, I'm not in favor of having in the original iteration, the president was the chairman of the. I said, no, you remove us. It was the Secretary of Finance. No, because inevitably, if you put me or the Secretary of Finance or in a decision-making loop, those decisions will be colored by political considerations. And that must not be the case. We have to look at these things. We have to look at any potential investment. We have to look at any potential operation of the fund in a cold, calculating manner. That is the only way that it will succeed. Once again, I'm confident that we will find all of the people who are so competent that we can rest easy that they will handle the fund properly. So long as structurally, and I think we've done that job. Structurally, we remove the political decisions from the fund. And those political decisions are left with the bureaucracy, the political bureaucracy, and the fund is left to be a fund and operating on a sound and proactive financial basis. Now, the DBP will pull together non-debt financial resources as to not crowd out other lending obligations that they need to fulfill under respective mandates. Moreover, the fund has the potential to funnel external financing, reducing the government's burden to finance infrastructure through borrowings, taxes. The establishment of sovereign wealth funds will widen the government's fiscal space and ease pressure in financing public infrastructure projects. I note that some of the objections that very early on was there, I would hear some people commenting and saying, hindi ba, kung may pera tayong ganyan, kung may pondo tayong ganyan, dapat ilagay yan sa agrikultura, dapat ilagay yan sa infrastructure, dapat ilagay yan sa energy development. Eh, nanonood ako ng television, sabi ko sa kanila, siyempre, kinakausap ko yung TV, saan nyo kaya iniisip na ilalagay yan? Bibili kami ng mga magagarang kotse, bibili kami ng malalaking yate, yan ba yung iniisip ninyo? That's, it makes me laugh because that is so far from the truth. That is precisely where we are going to put this money. That is precisely where we are going to apply this money. All those critical sectors that have been left behind, all those critical sectors that have to adjust to the new economy, the new global economy, that those are the pressure points that we will apply the fund on. It is a crucial undertaking. It will support our overall goal of 6.5 to 8% gross domestic product growth in the medium term. And through the fund, we will accelerate the implementation of the 194 National Economic and Development Authority board-approved, NEDA-approved flagship infrastructure project. While we celebrate this historic feat, let us remember that the fund goes beyond mere numbers or economic jargon. At its core, the IMF carries the dreams and aspirations of the Filipino people. Our citizens who strive for a better future for themselves, their loved ones, and their communities. We take into heart the fact that the numbers we project would mean nothing if they are not seen or felt by the ordinary citizen. Thus, the real challenge is to maintain the integrity of the fund, translate its gains into tangible changes for the benefit of all. I assure you that the fund will be managed by highly competent personnel with a good track record and outstanding integrity. We remain steadfast in our commitment to transparency, accountability, and good governance in this massive and purposeful undertaking. I assure you that the resources entrusted to the fund are taken care of with utmost prudence and integrity. We take one step in our journey toward success, a journey that is fueled by our ambition and the unwavering spirit of the Filipino people. Let us embrace this opportunity with open hearts and minds, confident in our ability to shape our own destiny and create a future where no dream is too big, no aspiration is beyond reach. That is the dream. That is what the fund is for. We hope to fuel that dream. Thank you very much at mabuhay po kayong lahat.
So yun mga kabanat, yung speech ni President Bongbong Marcos sa pagkatapos niya ng pagpirma ng Maharlika Pan, no? Investment. Kung saan yun, sinagot niya yung na mayroong ibang criticize kasi dyan, no? Yun, sinabi niya, ano daw gagawin niyang pera, bamba. So sabi ko lang mga kabanat, na dapat mag-ingat talaga. At dito, dapat na lang, mag-ingat talaga dahil nga alam mo naman natin yung nasa gobyerno dyan, laging nabubutasan dyan, no? Lahat na lang na ahinsya ng gobyerno ay mayroong katiwalian, no? Mayroong katiwalian, imposible. Kaya mag-ingat talaga mga kabanat, no? Pag tingnan talagang mabuti ito dahil nga pundo ito ng gobyerno. Halimbawa yung pera ng agriculture, maaaring dadaan pa dyan sa Maharlika Pan na yan at iba-ibang ahensya. So yun talaga dapat pag-ingatan, no? Na kahit anong sabihin mo kasi lagyan mo ng safeguard. Dahil nga yung naglagay ng safeguard, halimbawa, Kongreso, Senado, ay sila din naman yung bubutas dyan mga kabanat eh. Kaya dapat mag-ingat talaga. So yun lang video natin mga kabanat, comment, reaction about sa speech ni President Bongbong Marcos. Ako wala akong dahil ang Pangulo hindi naman talaga tatagal ito. Halos 5 years lang naman natitira. Tapos ibang Pangulo naman titira. Itong mga senador na ito ay paulit-ulit lang ito hanggang pumuti ang buhok na ito. Halimbawa ito, si Villar, Tolpo, no? Puputi ang buhok nito. Ang Pangulo papalit-palit pero yung mga ito hanggang tumanda na lang ay nandiyan pa rin sa Senado. Itong dapat pag-ingatan. Hindi tayo dapat mabahala dito sa iba na mabahala kay President Bongbong Marcos baka gamitin ng kung ano. Itong mga ito ay itong mga senador na ito. Sila yung dapat pag-ingatan dahil sila yung tatanda diyan sa Senado eh. Paulit-ulit. Kasi ang term na Senado halos 3 takbo eh. Umabot ata sila ng 12 years eh. Dalawang ang presidente isa lang eh. Isang term lang. Ito mga senador, napakaraming term. Yan eh. So ito yung pag-iingatan na sila ang dapat bugbugin dito dahil sila yung gumawa ng batas eh. At sila ding makikinabang sigurado dyan mga kabanan. Pagdating ng panahon, kung talaga magkaroon ng katiwalian yan, dahil nga maraming masisilaw dyan dahil bilyon, trilyon ng perang papasok dyan dahil nga yan nga ay hindi biro yung investment na napapaloob dyan mga kabanan. Dahil nga mula sa private sector, mula sa ibang mga mayayaman ng mga kumpanya, hasta government ay maglalagak dyan ng mag-i-invest dyan eh. So, yan mo na mga kabanat. See you next video.